Good morning. Welcome to the First Religious Society Unitarian Universalist in Newburyport, Massachusetts. My name is Serena Conready, and I am your worship associate today. If you're joining us for the first time, welcome. We're glad you're here. We come together at FRS, online and in person, committed to love, peace, and justice. Our mission and our invitation to all of you is to come as you are, journey together in love, act with courage, and transform our world. Let me introduce to you two good friends of mine that I've known for many years and I've studied and worked with. Today we welcome Manny Muros, a gifted spiritual teacher and author who leads personal development and meditation retreats internationally, and his wife Elise Ashby, composer and songwriter, who creates music to soothe the senses and brings healing. Thank you both. It's good to be together. Our call to worship this morning is from the Quran, chapter 7, verse 43, interpreted by A. Helva from her book, Secrets of Divine Love, a spiritual journey into the heart of Islam. She states, "If gratitude towards God is the pathway to righteousness and eternal salvation, then we could argue that ingratitude is one of our greatest enemies of faith. Therefore, one of the ways you can gauge your station of spiritual excellence in Islam is to examine your level of gratefulness. Alhamdulillah. You are faithfully called to worship."
Good morning and welcome. Please join us in saying our chalice lighting words as Serena Conready lights the chalice. These words can be found in your order of service. We gather this hour as people of faith with joys and sorrows, gifts and needs. We light this beacon of hope, sign of our quest for truth and meaning, in celebration of the life we share together. Please rise in body or spirit as we join our voices in our affirmation of faith. The words can be found in your order of service. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest of truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve all creation fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. Thus do we covenant with each other and with God.
The generosity of our community is an essential ministry that supports the work of the church, both in Newburyport and beyond. Each week, 50% of the Sunday offering, not designated as a pledge, goes to a local community partner engaged in an important effort to transform our region. The July shared collection goes to support Community Action, Inc., which provides resources and opportunities for individuals, families, and communities to overcome poverty. CAI envisions strong, thriving communities free of poverty, building hope and offering assistance with respect and understanding. To give online, please use the link in your order of service or below the live stream. You can also make a contribution by text, and of course, you can always mail a check to the church. Thank you. The offering will now be gratefully received. Quick note, Elise will be playing Morning Light, not what's listed in your service, which is Twilight. Elise? Thank you, Elise. In recognition of the Islamic New Year, which is celebrated today around the world, we will focus on the power of gratitude this morning. I will start, though, by sharing with you how my journey as a seeker came to exploring Islam. Following this, Manny, our guest speaker, will speak about his journey, followed by a short meditation experience focusing on gratitude, along with Elise, who has composed music to accompany. I have always been a lifelong seeker. I grew up with an Islamic father and a Protestant mother. She took me to the Unitarian Church in Portsmouth when I was a child with my brother and sister. Although I grew up identifying as Islamic, I was free to explore whatever practice I gravitated to. Some of you may have heard my lecture this past year on one of those practices that I studied in great depth, a Hindu Vedic tradition called Sri Vidya, in the meaning of Dharma, which has come to be a core part of who I am. Recently, as many of you also know, I am deeply involved with the Mirzai Afghan family that the church sponsored a few years back. I started with teaching the older girls English, but it quickly evolved over the last 2 years into a mentoring role in individual teaching with Soma Mirzai, who, by the way, just turned 18. I'm assisting her in her educational path, including working with her on digital art, computer technology, and I'm also learning about Islam from her. Soma spoke with the young church this last season when they were learning about other religions. And she was asked by one of our FRS students how Islam makes her feel and what she likes best about it. And she said, "When I hear the voice of the Quran, it calms me down and makes me happy. Islam is a way of life that makes me feel kind and generous. All in all, what I like most about Islam is Islam. I am proud to be on this path." Well, this inspired me, and we had a course. I work at Wellesley College, and we're allowed to take seminars for free. So I signed up to take a course called The Power, Authority, and Legitimacy in Islam with Professor Louise Marlowe. A fantastic class and many great resources. Let me tell you one more little story. So some of you may have heard last year, but it's worth repeating here, that I shared a documentary here at FRS that was part of that seminar class. So I shared this documentary for those who were interested in learning about the history of Islam. It was held in the lower meeting house, which some of you may have attended. From the documentary, we learned that the purpose of praying 5 times a day is to remind oneself to be devoted and humble, and that there is something greater than oneself, basically to have gratitude in life. At the end of the documentary, there was time for discussion. Soma was there as well and answered some questions. Reverend Rebecca also attended, and she suggested a homework assignment based on the fact that Muslims pray 5 times a day. The homework she suggested was, if you had to think about something 5 times a day, something to ground yourself and bring yourself home, what would it be? After we left and I dropped Soma off, and I was dropping her off, she said to me regarding this homework, she said, if you just sit 5 times a day, even for a few minutes, you'll be calm and focused. If you do this, Serena, you'll be light and happy with no worries. She's so enlightened. I think I'm teaching her, but she's really teaching me. So in turning to my Islamic roots, I wanted to understand how contemporary female Muslims think about Islam. So I've been contemplating two informative contemporary reads on Islam that have been highly recommended by scholars and practitioners. The first, which I'll talk from today, is Secrets of Divine Love, A Spiritual Journey into the Heart of Islam by A. Helva. She's a scholar who studied the Quran for over a decade and translates its many concepts into English. These books are listed in your service if you're interested. The second is The Veil and the Male Elite, A Feminist Interpretation of Women's Rights in Islam by Fatima Marnisi. This will have to be a lecture for another time. Okay. So I will share with you one concept that I learned about in that first book. the power of gratitude as written in the Quran. First, let me say that when I use the word God, quote unquote, it may have many meanings for many of you. Consciousness, Mother Earth, Source, universal energy, basically something beyond oneself that connects us all as humans. So A. Helva states in the book Secrets of Divine Love, in the Quran, true gratitude, or shukriya, is not based on your circumstances, but based on your state of your spirit. She goes on to say, our gratitude does not make God more generous. Rather, our gratitude makes us more receptive. That's the key word, receptive, to receiving all that God continuously gives us. Meaning, we can connect with God when we are grateful. She goes on to say, when you are grateful, you're vibrating at a higher frequency with more clarity and more awareness of our innate alignment with all, with Allah, with the universal consciousness. A. Helva also states in Islam, when we are thankful, when we get what we want, our gratitude is a product of our ego. True gratitude blossoms through the practice of devotion to the divine, regardless of the outcome we desire. Sincere gratitude is birthed from the womb of humility. Gratitude is not an emotion. It is more a state of mind and heart. State of minds are different than emotion because they are like channels on a radio we can consciously choose to dial into. I repeat, consciously choose to dial into. So the question is, how do you maintain this state of being grateful all the time? How do you choose to dial into this channel? And this is what Manny is going to talk about in the mind overlay, your lens. You need to be aware that it's there, that you can fine-tune it. Manny, I'll turn it over to you now, and you can share your insights on how we can consciously see and change our mind overlay, our lens, to be one of gratitude.
Thank you, Serena, and thank you for having me here today. Serena and I go back many, many years, and we share the same desire to explore, to have this connection to the divine. And I think since we met, we were almost inseparable in our own stories. Oh, in our own stories. Thank you. So I was just saying good things about Serena, and our shared journey of being a seeker. I go back and I think of when I was a child and really needing to go to school. I used to feel like I was wasting my time learning all these things that didn't matter. I wanted to know how God worked. Basically, I was like, why do I need to know this? And as a child, I couldn't make sense of that. I just knew that wasn't important, and there was something more important. And all of us are here in a human journey, a divine energy journey. We share a lot in common. My journey was to know that, how the divine worked. Again, going back, think of 6, 7 years old wanting to know that. So in my 30s, I had a spiritual awakening when life became overwhelming, when I couldn't figure out logically my way out of what I had gotten myself into. And I surrendered to a tremendous amount of prayer and meditation. And all of a sudden, I entered this place of peace, deep, deep, deep peace. And I just didn't want to leave it. And so that was the first part of sort of this journey that I want to mention, because I spent 2.5 years in that state, 16 to 18 hours a day, just because I didn't want to leave that much harmony. And it took me years to actually become more grounded, more functional, to be in this man-made world. And And during that time period, and basically for the last 30 years, I've been a devout student as well as full-time doing this work. And I've read through basically all the wisdom traditions, and they always spoke about this illusion of life, the Maya of life. And I couldn't make sense of that, because I'm like, well, this is pretty real. You can't tell me this doesn't exist. But yet it's inside all the traditions. And what I realize is that, yes, this does exist, but we place what I've coined the mind overlay stories over reality. And it's the way we have been indoctrinated, domesticated into living in an insane modern world, which makes no sense, but everybody has agreed that this is how we're going to live. All right, so that clarity sort of came. All right, so I can't hang out in spirit land. It's a gift to be human, but the humans have really created this false reality. And how do we navigate that? So the first parts that I think is most important if we want to gain mastery is that we have to cultivate that witness, that observer in us that is then able to see ourselves relating, which is able to see all the interpretations we make on every single moment. I teach this concept of the mind overlay, and most people say like, oh yeah, I guess, yeah, we can be judgmental about how somebody looks or about things, but it's so much more than that. The mind overlay is what comes over the present moment. So the more we can actually drop down into being just with life as it is, no likes, no dislikes, it is. And it is in perfection the way it is, because it's a mirror back to us from where we are, what we need to be growing to in Earth School, which is another one of my kind of jokes. This is Earth School. Nobody's on vacation. It's constant learning, and many of my students will say, when am I ever going to be done? I go, well, when you're done. We'll be growing until the last breath. So this cultivating the witness through meditation, I can't overemphasize it. It's really being, it gives us this ability to anchor into who we truly are, which is consciousness. It is consciousness having a human experience. And we can settle to that still point that lives inside all of us. Then we can, with open eyes, with training, we can savor this gift of being life. So that's kind of like the main aspects of what I like folks to focus on. Then my journeys, I have a science background, and again, I wanted to know how the world worked, and that didn't tell me how the world worked yet. So when I came across a lot of the metaphysical teachings, it was like, aha, I get that. And I said, we are consciousness, but consciousness is energy. Energy is molecules, in some ways, moving in wave-like form, so that we are an aspect of the divine co-creating our reality. Does that make sense? So that if we are able to step out of reacting, have the silence to make a choice, we can make the choice of what vibration we're going to express. what eyes are we going to see life from? And it's the most powerful tool. Is almost, this is free will. I don't think there's more free will than that. It is the freedom to show up and really hold reality within our own unique lens. And it's also what makes the difference between this world being heaven or hell. It's really how we relate to it, and it's within us. Another big part of this is that while we are speaking, we are intellectually taking this in. It's coming into our mind overlay. That's still an overlay. So the real work is, how do we take these teachings and we become the teachings? How do we live not from, bringing it back to gratitude, from just saying, yeah, I'm grateful. Another thing is like, wow, I feel grateful. I am so happy to be here. I am so happy for my friends, for my family. That's very different than saying I'm going to practice gratitude. Our mind, our intellect, is a tool for being here, but it's what puts that layer on. And our heart is our feeling state, is our vibrational state. So that's why it's so important to come to the heart in order to have an authentic experience of this moment. So really finding that balance. So let me see what notes I did write down. So basically, just to recap a little bit, this is a vibrational world. Our stories create feelings and emotions which create unique vibrational states. These vibrations holds resonance and is the key to the experiences available to us, what we are able to see and perceive. I'm going to elaborate a little bit more. You think about our massive world. We're having very different experiences. We are drawn to different people. As I mentioned, Serena, a lot of you here, actually, there was a resonance, and we became friends. And that resonance has to do with the energetic state which we are holding. And that's why many times you can see somebody that you don't know, and you don't want to be next to them. And you can see somebody you don't know, and you want to be next to them. And what's the logic of that? And that is our vibrational field. So that if we want to become better humans, it is understanding that by shifting our mindset, which shifts our thoughts, which adjusts our emotions, it changes our vibration, and therefore the world we get to experience is coming from a higher state of consciousness. Just that peace and love can go everywhere. A very simple example, if we get up in the wrong side of the bed, as the phrase goes, and the morning becomes with a little bit of annoyance, you may notice that through that day, somehow annoyance seems to follow you. And it's mostly you are bringing annoyance. From the eyes from which you're looking at are actually seeing the vibration you're carrying. So you are annoyed. If on the other hand, before you get up in the morning, you take the time to pray, to have gratitude, to really recognize the abundance that's in our lives. Once we get up from bed, everything we see, we're going to see with the eyes of love, with the eyes of gratitude. And that's what we will see back. That's what gets reflected back. So this is a way of being that we were looking to cultivate. It is, again, not an intellectual exercise, even though I mentioned the mind overlay a lot. It's only because that's our hindrance and that's our opportunity. It is the gateway. Once we recognize that it exists, we then have a choice to how we align to that. Then we become empowered in creating the world we want to have. And gratitude, which, as Serena mentioned in the Quran, in every religion, is fundamental. It's taught. And it is because it's a powerful key for raising our vibration. It's really that. It is the key for raising our vibration. If we cultivate the practice, if we spend 40 days making it a habit, and life just becomes a lot more beautiful. And it is a simple, sometimes I made the spiritual journey extremely complicated. I figured out any practice I could do to make it from fire walking to whatever, And after you reach a certain point, you realize, none of that was, it wasn't necessary, or it was. But it got me to a point where I recognized I didn't need to do it again. Let's just put it that way. So, with gratitude, we get to see and experience life more accurately, the way the divine created it. We get to see life with less of a filter and more correctly. Love, compassion, harmony expand as we see life with eyes that recognize all the blessings that surround us. And I think now, because a couple of you mentioned it, I heard there was a meditation. I think it kind of drew you to come today. So why don't we practice a little meditation of simplicity. We were playing around a little bit that I'd like to be efficient now in my spiritual practice. I used to spend hours in meditation, and now, can I get it down to 3 minutes? Can I get it down to 5? Because I know where I want to be. And so what I'd like us to do, and I'll guide you in, and then at least we'll play for us, probably about 5 minutes, 5-6 minutes, so you know what to expect. And well, I'll just start. So why don't we simply close our eyes and take a seat that feels elegant. I want you to feel your heart open as the shoulder blades come onto your back. And even with your eyes closed, look toward the horizon so your chin doesn't lift up, creating a beautiful alignment for your energetic system. And now, bring into your consciousness one or several fellow travelers that you're grateful that they're in your life. Bring to mind as well any and all things that you're grateful for. And as you begin to notice the vibration shifting within you, I'd like you to bring that to your heart center. Just feel the gratitude that lives within you. We just need to call it out. feel the warmth of gratitude in your heart. And let it radiate outwards, touching every soul that's part of your life. Thank you for sharing this sacred moment with me, with all of us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Manny and Elise and Serena. As each of us prepare to leave this sacred and holy sanctuary this morning and go back into our somewhat hot and soggy streets and enjoy summer, however we choose to do that. May we go holding in our own hearts whatever words, whatever feelings, whatever images came to you as you listened to Manny and accepted his invitation. And we express our gratitude today to you for being here, Manny, and for you, Elise, and to you, Serena, for sharing your wisdom, the music, the reflections, and your grace. So go now in peace and return again with great joy.